Welcome to the Beer and Gear podcast with Chris Taylor.
And our guest tonight is none other one of my best friends in the whole world. It's Mr. James Boyle. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Hey, Chris. How's it going? Thanks for having me on, dude.
No, it's sweet, man. It's sweet. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, me and this boy go back a long way. Even back to when I first started on my guitar journey. This was the guy that actually sold my brother the first guitar that got me on this sort of route. But we'll go back more into that later. But 10 years from that, strangely enough, I ended up going for a job interview and, well, I didn't actually go for a job interview. What I actually did was I decided to leave the job I was currently in. I made a phone call to where I wanted to work, which was a well-known amp company and guitar distribution and drum distribution place that was close enough for me to get backwards and forwards to in a realistic way. And I just made a phone call, and the guy that answered the phone didn't know that at the time. Was Jim, that said, put your CV in. There's nothing going at the moment, but whack it in and see what happens. And 4 weeks later, I walked in and ended up sat next to the boy and recognised him straight away. And I was like, "That's you." Anyway, that's my little story how we started with Jim. But let's talk about you, man. So it's not just about gear and beer and guitars and stuff. Let's hear the story of where you started and what you're into until what you're doing now.
Well, yeah, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? As you say. So from those heady days way back when, in working in the music shop in Kidderminster, where we first met. So I think we should probably delve into that one, shouldn't we?
Because yeah.
I was having guitar lessons from another very good friend of mine named Mike. And Mike used to work at he ran the guitar department at the local music shop. So he was looking for a Saturday helper. And I think that I got the job because I'm left-handed.
Right.
You know what? Because, of course, that would mean that I couldn't just sit there all day long playing all the guitars off the shelf. And I would actually get some work done and do what I was there, supposed to be doing whilst I was there, helping customers and not just playing with all the merchandise.
Yeah.
So I got this Saturday job there at the local music shop. And one fine day, in came Chris, unbeknownst to me, and his brother. So if I remember rightly, straight away, your brother was looking, was like, right, I need the first guitar for my brother. And he's really into Van Halen.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
and as luck would have it, we had a range of guitars in the store at the time that actually did an entry-level Van Halen copy, didn't they? It was
Jim Harley.
Jim Harley range, yeah. And so we got the thing down and demoed it for you and showed Chris the guitar. But I think, didn't he get you onto a Strat instead?
No, I think what it was, you demoed it, and he was like, well, "That's great and everything, but yeah, it's too much money," because it was like 250 quid with the 275 it actually was. And Mike at the time was like, "Well, we throw an amp in it with it as well," and he tried to push the sale. And my brother basically pushed me away to look at tab books and stuff for a bit. And then told me, it's too much. You'll have to save up for it. Get a paper round or something, that kind of thing. And we'll go back and go to Music Magpie, whatever it was in Kiddie. But, all the the CD shops and all that. And we disappeared for a few hours. And I was like, okay, cool. And we wandered round. And then afterwards he went, I meant to get you some strings from Crotchet and Quaver. We've got to go back to Crotchet and Quaver. And then I walked back in and it was ready there with the amp, wasn't it?
there in the box, tuned up, set up.
He'd bought it on the sly while I was looking at tab books, hadn't he?
Yeah.
He'd paid for it and literally didn't tell me. Yeah, and you set it up, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I used to do that. So especially because it had the floating trem on it as well, didn't it? So yeah, we had to do all the proper setups and things on them before they'd go out to anybody. So you're getting the right thing by the time it's got home.
Yeah, but he never told me. And
No.
we walked back in and he was like, well, there's your guitar. And I was like,
what, that one? I remember the look on your face.
Yeah.
Wow.
Little ginger kid. Yeah.
Well, that makes two of us.
Well, I did actually bring along a surprise tonight.
Oh, did you? There it is. Look at that. So, I mean, as a first guitar goes, that's a pretty cool one, isn't it?
Yeah, but look what it says on the back of it.
Wow, is that the date?
Number 1, 1995.
Number 1, 1995. Wow. Wow.
And that's the one.
That's the one.
It's the Jim Harley.
Yeah.
Number 1, with the frets are all worn down and everything, but through lockdown I've actually sorted it out because I wanted to. Because I wanted to, it means so much, and it's actually been in one video for Streets Apart as well.
I did spot it.
Because why not?
Is that not Jim Harley? But I think it's just something special about your first guitar anyway, though, isn't there? And that's
why I marked it up.
Yeah.
Because it means the world. It does.
Yeah.
So.
No, my first guitar, I had a Columbus Super Strat. So it was all black pickguard, black pickups. It had a Floyd Rose licensed trem on it. And once I'd upgraded and I'd got my first Ibanez actually, I ended up swapping that Columbus guitar in a local second-hand shop for a bass. Because I wanted to, for a bass, because I was doing some recording and I wanted to write bass lines as well for the songs that I was writing for the band I was in at the time. So I actually swapped it out for this bass. And then a little while later, that was my first guitar. What have I done? And as luck would have it, months and months later, I was able to go and get it back from the shop again. So I've still got it. It's in the attic now.
Bless.
It's old Columbus.
Well, say this thing means the world to me. And it always will. And it was it's been played to death. But that's the point of it. In fact, I didn't even upgrade in terms of what I played as my main guitar till about 6 years into playing. That's when I got the Wolfgang, the proper one. And I was like, this is a different level. But until then, that was the level. And if I needed to get to a certain level, I would upgrade it. There's nothing changed on it in terms of pickups and stuff. I'm talking about the fact upgrade to me was I will take the strings off and polish the frets, and I'll sand off the edges and do all that kind of different stuff to make it play better, but nothing actually got upgraded electronically or physically on it. That was my guitar, It
didn't need it though, did it? It was absolutely good enough for where you are and where you're going. When you get to a point when it'll no longer do what you need it to do, that's the time to upgrade. But you haven't got to just go out and buy a different one just because.
No, and I think that's what a lot of people do nowadays.
I like this. I'll go and buy a custom shop and whatever, and you don't need to.
And they expect it to make them play better. It's the age-old thing, isn't it? I've got to buy this. I've got to get some more gear because I'll sound better. It's like, no, what makes you sound better is those hours and hours and hours that you play.
Yes.
I mean, my brother wasn't a big drinker at all, but he'd be the driver, if you get me. So his friends that wanted to go somewhere, nightclubs, whatever, he was the one that was driving. So he'd have his one beer and he'd be the guy in charge of getting them all back home, sort of thing.
Okay.
But he literally leave on the night and there's me practicing guitar and he'd come back and I'm still doing the same thing. You know, it's that was my thing, and I didn't actually go out for a beer until I was 18 years old. Now all my friends from school were going out all the time between 15 and that age, doing it. What are you doing? You coming to town? Come to town. Well, I was happy just learning, and I'd literally sit there and learn guitar. That was my nights, and then I only started going out to pubs on my 18th birthday.
Wow.
You know, I did, yeah, I did because I just wanted to get home and play. I realised I was starting late. So,
yeah, but that's not important, is it? And find your way in the end. But I mean, when it's such an obsession, and you've got such a steep learning curve in the early days as well of learning an instrument, where suddenly like every day is a new discovery, and you're on that mission, and then you'll never practice again that much, will you? And
no.
40 hours on one bar of a Paul Gilbert thing once because I couldn't quite get it up to speed, and 14 hours went past trying to play these same.
But you did this, didn't you? You're a much more technical player than me, and you put those 10,000 hours in, didn't you? You did that because you were that mindset when you started playing. I was going to say, when did it start? When you started, what did you hear that made you suddenly go, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to play"?
Well, I've been surrounded by music all my life anyway. So even as kids, we had a piano in the house, so I had piano lessons when I was little. Then one of the teachers at my first school started doing guitar lessons. So everybody in the class said, yeah, we'll all do it. So we all went and got guitars. And so I had a little 3/4 classical guitar that we started learning, actually classical style with all the Italian finger names and things.
Yeah.
And that soon dwindled. I had my saxophone when I was 10. In fact, no, I was younger than 10. I was probably...
We'll get back to that in a bit.
It's still there. I think I was 8 or 9 actually when I had that, because I remember I was too young to join the youth band my brother was in. I had to be 10 to join that, and I'd already started playing. So I must have been 8 or 9 when I had that. Electric guitar came about because, well, we started listening to rock music. That was what happened. We started listening to rock music. We had Kevin Gammond, the
legend, yeah.
Was teaching guitar lessons at a middle school. And we started listening to Iron Maiden and Metallica, and we managed to convince Mum to get us electric guitars. Me and my brother, when I say us. Tim was actually, he was a far better player than I was at that time. And he was further down his journey than I was, and he was great. So I could listen to him playing the solo from the Clairvoyant through the bedroom wall. Like, how can I just play the Johnny B. Good riff?
Yeah.
So I kind of aspired to that. And he was having his lessons. My brother Tim was having his lessons with Mike. And I had to go on the waiting list. And in the meantime, whilst that was happening, where are we? Probably 1992 was when Metallica were doing the Black Album tour. And we're going to the NEC and watching Metallica do the Black Album tour. And I think it was that moment going, I want to do that.
Right. Everyone's got their little moment, haven't they? Their little moment when it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it was Andy bringing back. So Andy used to buy like. He'd take me to Mariel, little brother. You know what I mean? It's like you got to think 1995, I would be 15, he'd be 22. But what he'd do was actually go out there, and he'd buy all the music he wanted for a month in one go. So he'd go into. Actually, at the time, it wasn't HMV. It was what was the other big music store in Mariel that wasn't HMV? It's gone now. No,
I should know this.
Do you know what I mean? Though it's
I should really know this because I would spend just as many hours in there as you.
It used to sell merch as well.
Wasn't Virgin Records, was it?
No, not Virgin. Not before the big Virgin thing.
It's completely gone.
It will come to me towards the end of this thing.
You're shouting at me in a minute, yeah.
But it used to be up there, and that was the place that you could get all the different limited edition CDs, records, everything like that kind of stuff, and it will come back. It will come back. But he used to go there and buy 10 CDs, whatever had come out, plus what had come out in the last month or so that you wanted to listen to, and he'd buy 10 CDs. Of course, when he'd get back, and then it was a Saturday generally, and then he'd get a phone call saying, "Oh, we're going to Shrewsbury clubbing." He'd be like, "Yeah, great," even though he's the bloke driving the bastard car, you know. He'd go, and I'd be like, "Woo, CDs." Listen to more. My first moment when I really wanted to play guitar, apart from the times when I broke his guitars, which he'd got like one or two of, and I'd try and figure out how to play a song on one string because I broke the rest, and that was it. There was just bodies and necks in the cupboard, like so. The moment I got was when he bought Van Halen Balance, and that was literally 95, and I put it on, and the first chord of the first song, I was like, "Oh, I want to do that." That's bass. It was the first record the first thing I'd heard that made me think, I want to play guitar. And that's it. And yours was Metallica, seeing Metallica, yeah? Everyone's got their first moment where they go like, "Yeah, I want to do that." Yeah.
You know, I'd been playing a little before, but that was really the switch. And it was such a cool time as well, because I think just after that was when I managed to get a lesson slot with Mike Smith. And of course, I mean, Kevin's amazing and brilliant and wonderful, and we know and love Kevin. And he taught me the foundations and got me going, and then later revamped me completely again. But at this moment, when I kind of got the lessons with Mike, and he was a rock player straight away, and so of course he's pulling out, like, introduced me to people like Joe Satriani and Paul Gilbert and that kind of, and I couldn't believe that I was sitting in a room with someone that was playing like that, because I'd never even heard that before. And then you sat across the table with someone that's playing he's an amazing player, and it was so inspirational, and that kind of really got me practicing and on that learning path, sort of so much quicker, and more focused. So, I had stuff to do, I had stuff to practice, I had goals, I had things. I want to be able to play that song at this speed, and then sit with your metronome and you do it.
You see, I never had that, because I was very insular around basically where I live. It's like at the time when I started to learn properly, you were judged on whether you could play chords to Oasis. You know what I mean? It's like I wasn't interested on that kind of playing. In fact, I remember my brother moaning at me saying, like, "Well, that's cool, you can tap and stuff, but can you play any chords?" And I'll be like, "No."
Not yet.
But I didn't have any lessons. So literally, in fact, the first lesson I ever had was actually with you. And we're talking like 2006, 7 or something, where you'd come to my house or whatever, and we just chilled, and the next day you were like, "Let's get the guitars out." And you showed me some stuff, and I was like, mind blown. What? And it was so simple what you showed me, but I had no idea about it at all. I was like, okay.
It's not always the way, though. It's like the simple thing. Oh goodness me, and those little light bulb moments. And but I think I've always been quite sort of methodological, analytical kind of guy.
I've been completely opposite. So I
want to know how it works. Like, well, how can I create? How can I do that? If I hear someone play something on the record, well, what was that? How would I do something similar, or how could I be that? And or something that creates that same feeling or that same tonality. How do I get that? And then you study it and think, oh, well, it's this particular tonality or this particular scale, and I try and kind of get there through understanding the music, understanding the music theory behind it. And
let's say you're completely you are completely opposite of me, because I'm the guy that, as you know, that will do it again and again and do it anyway. And you'll say to me like, "Oh, that's that," and I go, "Is it?" And I'll look at it and go, "Oh yeah, I did that."
So you're playing that scale, there you am I? But scales.
But then it'll make sense, and I'll go like, "I did do that." Then I'll that's part of my armory. Then you know what I mean? It's like, but I'm completely the opposite way. I play.
When you understand it, you can create it. It's not a happy accident anymore, is it?
I play what I feel, and then go back and go, that makes sense now. It's weird. It's like
you can develop it, can't you?
That's why I felt it, but now I know what I did. That'll work, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, there you go. But I mean, it's, in the end, you arrive at the same place because I really like your playing. You know, when I hear you do your thing, I'm really impressed, and I think you're great at playing the guitar. And sometimes I go, I can't kind of, you know, the way Chris just gets that thing, and he just gets that feel and gets that vibe when you play. And then my style's totally different.
Well, I'm more feel than anything really, I guess, and that's probably the lack of teaching. I don't know. I hear what I hear and I go, well, yeah. But I gotta say, man, I always look forward to when we get a solo coming in from you on the Streets Apart stuff. And we'll talk about Streets Apart in a bit, but I'm just saying, like it's like Christmas when they come along. It's like it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm grateful to be involved with that.
And a lot of people who are involved don't even know what I'm talking about before it comes because they don't expect it. Because you got to think, when that first started, well, we're going back into it in a bit, but like when it first started, they're like, "Oh, you mate Jim, yeah? Yeah. He plays a bit of guitar." And that stuff comes through and they're like, "What?"
Like, you used to play.
I'm like, I warned you.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
Anyway, take it away because we're going to come back onto the gear and stuff later. But like, there was a big change in your life, wasn't there? That when you decided that, you know, amazing as you are as a musician, that wasn't really where your path went, where your heart was, wasn't it? So, how did that come about?
It's funny because it seems like it's a big change, but to me, it's not. I'm doing exactly the same thing. Because, you know, for anyone who doesn't know, and we were working together at the Laney and Ibanez, and alongside
we name the brands.
Was it not supposed to?
Nah, it's fine. They won't see it, and if they do, sponsor it.
Exactly. There you go. Like and share.
Yeah.
But we're working together there. And alongside, I mean, I've always been a martial artist as well. So as well as doing music, I've always done martial arts since I was a child. Again, the same. So, you know, we'd have our music lessons and we'd go off to our judo class and things. And so I've always trained. And what I felt happening during that period at Head Start, there was kind of just a barometer shift. And I just found myself just getting pulled more and more into martial arts. And I was still playing and I was still into music, but I was training a lot more. And then training more and then training more and then training more. And in the end, it kind of just sort of overtook. And I started teaching martial arts. I used to teach guitar. And then when I was working at Headstock, I was less enthusiastic to go home and then teach all night when I'd been on guitar all day, and then I'd go and do guitar all night. So I kind of reeled in my music teaching and upped my martial arts training, and ended up getting a job teaching martial arts in one of the local school where I trained. And then that just grew and grew and grew and spiraled. It ended up with me teaching my own classes and just being so much more focused on that. That kind of took over, and I built that school to a point where I could go full time with it. And I retired from the music industry and focused on my martial arts schools.
Remember the day?
But
I remember the day when you said to me, "I've just handed my notice in," and I was like, "What?"
I think it was coming anyway.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because your passion had shifted, you know. And I was training with you at the time when you were still there every day. At the time, at the very start, wasn't I? Because I was like, "I'll join. I'll do it. I'll do some stuff. Yeah, I'll do some stuff with it. You know."
That was awesome. That was just awesome days.
And it started out, and then I could see it. I could see the point where you got to the point where you were like, "Well, I've got all this. I need to put my 100% focus on this."
Yeah. No.
Otherwise, there's no point. Otherwise, there's no point. I need to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't doing justice to the job I had, so and it wasn't fair on them. And ultimately, making the decision to go full time with my martial arts was a dream come true. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get that thing, like you just said, it's like such a big shift and it's such a big change. But for me, actually, it's not. It's still expression. It's still about self-expression. And still being creative, still transmitting knowledge, and finding out more about yourself and how you can then grow as a person as well, which is kind of ultimately what music does. It's not just just hear it and it's that. It's a very personal thing. It's a very expressive thing. And for me, martial arts is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's not just learning how to yeet people and kick and punch. It's more of a personal journey of self-development.
Yeah, totally.
So actually, it's kind of just the same thing, but a different medium. It'd be almost like a painter moving to sculpture instead. And how could you change? You're so good at painting. Like, well, I'm being creative. I'm still doing art and just using it.
I really respected it. I massively did. I did because I was there and I championed you doing it. I was like, because I was one of the only people that were there that had seen the other side of you, than what you did.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you actually left, I was like, he's got a good thing here. He's doing great at it, and that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, thank you.
And it was great. And then, do you remember that 2 years later when you rang me and said, like, I'm in the area, can I just pop in for a minute? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't tell anyone, did I?
No, that's right.
And I didn't tell anybody. I said, maybe Rog Hickman. And if he says this, Rog, we love you. You're a legend.
Oh, Rogue, yeah.
I don't think we even told him. And literally, I escorted you in and you sat in your old chair, didn't you? Remember?
Yes. I didn't realise you hadn't told anybody, though.
No, I ain't told anybody. No. I ain't told anybody.
Yes, I remember sitting there and it was like getting someone just handed me a pile of delivery notes. That was it. Yeah. We were off.
And Linda walked in. All right, Jim, how you doing? Carried on walking.
Normal day.
And then James Laney walks in. All right, Jim. Then he clicked. He left 2 years ago.
Should you be here? Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny when it was good. It was good.
And just wonderful people as well. That's its ace, isn't it?
I love the fact that I've been gone, it'll be 6 years this year, but everyone that I work with is friends with me on Facebook or whatever. We might not talk all the time, but when we do, we do. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's nice.
But you'll remember the day at the malt shovel when you and I was there and Rog Pickman was there, and we got a photo of the three. We just like all the old team.
We got that photo in it. It's like the old telephone team. Back together.
You got a great friendship with people. That's how it is, isn't it?
We were just missing Marky D, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
But that's cool. And even tonight, like I've literally posted one thing on Facebook, and a guy from there's commented on it straight away. Like, I'm like, do you know what? It's nice that I've still got it.
Yeah. We don't need to burn.
We can all still talk, and it's great. I love it. Yeah, love it.
I think that's really, really important. Whatever moves or shifts or transitions you make in life, so we don't need to leave a pile of destruction behind us. There, we can still kind of maintain good relationships with people even when you move on.
Of course, we can.
That's really important.
That's cool. So, But when you actually left Laney,
Yeah.
that's when you really had your full focus, 100% on what you were doing, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So at that point, I mean, I was training crazy. I was building my schools, and then, you know, I was in my kind of exponential learning curve, I think, in the art that I was training in at the time as well. I'd shifted from more of kind of a kickboxing journey into more of like a street-based self-defense kind of journey. It's cool stuff. And for me to learn that, you know, the HQ was based out over in Spain, so I was traveling back and forth to Valencia every month or so to go over and get new information to come home and train. And I got great training partners in the local area as well, so we could train there. We'd fly over, get our stuff, come back, train. You know, a really good friend of mine, Steve, who was on the same journey as me, he went full time with his school just before I did, really. And that was fab, because that meant that we both had our mornings free. So every day, sort of 5 days a week, we get together and train every morning, and just had an amazing growth in that art at that time. So that was one of those little magic periods then as well. And the good stuff just kept coming. You know, it really was an awesome time to be around that. I had some great experiences, some great travel. We went to lots of cool places, met lots and lots of cool people, got to do stuff I definitely wouldn't have got to do otherwise if it hadn't have been for being in that situation. So it was fab.
That's inspiring, because it must be cool to be able to do that and think to yourself, well, this is a different industry completely, but I've created part of this. This is what I'm into. This is my thing, you know. And you find yourself traveling all to different places. You said to me before, New York, Spain, all kinds of places.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great when the first times I travelled, when I went abroad with the music industry, I was like, wow, because I used to be in the carpet industry. You know that I was in there for years. Yeah. You know, my dad was, my brother still is, not for the same company but stuff. But like, to me, when I was in the carpet industry, going to the NEC was like a big thing.
Yes.
But suddenly I was like in Germany, in LA, in all kinds of different places, and, you know, in Holland and stuff, doing this stuff, and thinking, that's when it clicked. I thought, do you know what? This is cool. It's like, the career path I've chosen has got me here, and here. But with you, it's different, because what you're doing is something you're really, well, I was passionate. As you know, I'm still the same. I'm still mega passionate about that stuff that you're working. But for you to take out on a limb yourself and be like, okay, I'm doing this now. I'm backing myself. I've not got a big company beyond me. I'm not on the payroll as such.
No.
I am a franchise. I am doing this, and this is me. And if I don't put my arse into it, it's going to fall over.
Yeah.
And you're still getting to those places and going like, whoa, do you ever sit there and go like, hang on, I'm in New York. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I mean,
who got me there? You know, it's like, you know.
There's that, yeah. And you know, the team that we had around that time, you know, an amazing team. They, you know, great mentors and things. But it was almost like being on tour. Like, you go out to do a show, you know, you'd go out to Italy to do a 2-day seminar camp or something, and it literally was like going out to do a gig. You know, you travel there, you get met at the airport or met at the train station, and you know, taken off to the hotel, taken out for dinner, go and do the seminar, out for dinner, back to the airport. So it was very much like that. That, you know, that like a rock gig, really, but just with a different medium.
Yeah.
And it was fab. I just met loads of like wonderful people. and just had some great times.
And you kept doing that, and the for what you did was based with a lot of different sort of networking areas as well, wouldn't it? With the movie filming and
really cool places, yeah. So we got to touch the Hollywood movie industry.
Yeah.
We got to touch things like, the UK police force and things, and going off to the National Training Centre for the police,
wow.
and working with those guys there, and be doing that one day, and then we'd have stunt people coming in and training those another day, and instructor networks and other school owners and things, and people that we'd be training.
So I'm guessing, so I'm guessing you got no regrets really at all.
No. No, I don't think you can have, because every step you take throughout life gets you where you are. But anyway, so as long as you kind of, as long as you're making progress and you're on a path you're happy with, every single thing, and even difficult decisions or painful decisions or things you go, gosh, maybe could have done that differently or anything. But even then, that still gets you to the point you're at now.
It does. I often say there's like, everyone asks me any regrets. I'm like, well, they're pointless.
Yeah.
There's no point even thinking about stuff like that, because it doesn't mean anything.
No.
All that actually matters is where you are at this point in time.
That's right. And everything that you've done, every decision you've made, every sacrifice, everything has gotten you to that point.
Correct.
So, happy days.
So where did you get? Well, we're going to segue a little bit. So I'm going to segue it a little bit, where we can show a little bit. Because I'm upgrading the old video production already.
Oh, okay.
We're going to segue to a bit where we can show some of what you do and what you offer.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we get there, you might as well tell everyone about how you started your own brand. So, after years of being a franchise, and great franchise as it was, you finally, in the last 2 years, literally started out as your own brand, which we can see behind you.
I got amazing timing.
Great. Great timing, yeah. You started at the start of a pandemic.
Yes,
which is it's like trying to make it a challenge for yourself. But
yeah,
how did that come about?
Well, I mean, as you said, the franchise I was involved with is an amazing franchise, and the guys are fantastic, and nothing bad about that at all. And I didn't leave that franchise for any negative reason. There was nothing that sparked it. There wasn't an isolated incident or anything. No, nothing happened bad. The guys are great, and and if any of them watch it, I wish them every success. And we still talk, I still speak to the guys. Yeah. If we think back to, I was saying before how, we got on the airplane, fly to Italy, a rock star weekend, teaching a seminar and fly back. I'm in a completely different place in my life now than I was back then. So back then, early 2000s, whenever it was, I was on my own. And that was kind of my dream, and my goal was to do that, to enjoy doing that, and to take that particular art out and just share it with the world and show it to everybody and spread that around. And here's something I'm doing I'm really, really passionate about, I think is amazing. You need to see it too. And that was my driving force. So more or less, my school was kind of there to support that. But as life moves on, I now have a wonderful family. So I'm married. I've got my stepdaughter's 16 years old. My son's 9. I've
got photos of me with Marcus as like 1 year old in my arms.
We first brought him over to Highland.
Yeah.
But that's my life now. That's what my focus is. So my passion isn't, can I share this art with the world? My passion is, how can I provide the best life for my family? What's the best thing I can do for them?
Yeah.
And at that point, then you kind of go, well, me jumping on aeroplanes and going out to a seminar probably isn't the best thing for them, because if I'm going to jump on an aeroplane and go to a warm country, I'd rather do it with them and have a holiday together with them. And so, you know, my complete life's focus just totally changed. And alongside with that, I kind of got to the point where I kind of felt like I needed to give this a go. I wasn't as completely passionate about that art that over the years. And I was there for 20 years, and I absolutely was like the total flag bearer for it. And you remember yourself how
yeah, it doesn't seem like 20 years, but it is. Yeah.
I mean, I was training with those guys for 20 years, and it was enough. It was enough. You know, nothing bad, nothing negative, nothing changed. It was just 20 years was enough. And a little bit of my hunger for more kind of dissipated. So at that point, you go, well, I'm in a good position within the organisation, and in a position of influence with some of the other instructors and things as well. And thinking, well, I can't really stand here as almost like a figurehead or whatever for. I wasn't the figurehead for the franchise, but even just as a grading examiner or something, and I'm just not as invested as I was, and that felt dishonest to me. So ultimately, what do I actually want? What do I want from life? What do I want for my family? What's the best thing? And then just that thing in the back of my head going, well, you kind of, there's other things I want to teach as well. And even, it's the guitar podcast, isn't it? So even just thinking about, like, it was similar with my music education, where when I was at I went to Kidderminster College to further my music education there, and I got really like pulled along with all the quite extreme, getting into jazz fusion stuff and listening to like really, really progressive music. To the point where, if it was in 4/4, I didn't want to know. It had to have a strange time signature and be in some wacky altered key.
15/27.
Yeah, exactly. And if it wasn't that, like, oh, it's rubbish, it's boring.
Yeah.
And then one day you go, do you know what? I still really like Iron Maiden. And I still really like ACD. And I like to nod my head and tap my foot. And this feels great to play. And if we think of it as communication, because ultimately that's what music is. Music is communication.
Yeah, totally.
Like teaching a martial art, it's communication. That's what you're doing. You're communicating concepts and principles and ideas to people. And if they're not going to catch it, if it's in 1918 time signature and some crazy altered harmonic thing that they can't. It's like, I can explain it to you. Yeah, I can explain to you. You'll kind of understand what I mean, but
they can't feel it. They got to feel it.
Yeah, and ultimately you just go, I just want to tap the foot and not bed. This is great. And it was a similar kind of thing with martial art. The franchise I was involved with, the stuff was just mind bending. It was amazing. And the leader of the franchise, the pioneer of it all, is an absolute genius in the martial arts world. And how he could just take a concept or a technique or an idea and pull it in and just completely just deconstruct it and put it back together again in a totally different way and have different series coming off it and things. It was just masterful to watch. It was amazing. And then actually today I just want to go jab, cross, and just tap my foot and nod my head, and this will be enough. And then when it's when we're communicating that as well, and I think even for the student base, I kind of go, oh, this isn't actually. I'm not confused now. I can just kind of do this and enjoy doing it. You go, oh no, you just do it and enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, then you develop different skill sets and develop different attributes and different abilities. And the other thing, as I mentioned, it was very much a self-defense street orientated system. And I think if somebody was to say, that's my mission, I just really want to understand how to protect myself and be really street focused, they go there. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
But there is another entire world of martial arts out there as well.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I kind of wanted to pull back in some of my old kickboxing roots and things. So to create a more rounded picture. So it's easy to teach, easy for people to understand and catch and develop. And with that in mind, it was, you know, Kitsune was born.
I think it's fantastic, man. It's like,
Well,
I mean, you mentioned kickboxing.
yeah.
Now, what the second time I met you, I didn't realise you'd done this, but you'd already had a background in kickboxing, hadn't you?
Say that again, sorry.
You'd already had a background in kickboxing, hadn't you?
I did have a bit.
Which I didn't know about. I got showed a video.
Yes. No, I mean, I did it. Well, you know what I'm like. If I get into something, I get into it and I'll do it.
You do, yeah. Yeah, you do.
To the maximum, you know, I take it as far as I can until I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
I probably could have just said that sentence instead of probably the last 5 minutes.
No, we love it. Love the detail. We love the detail.
Just take it as far as I can until I don't want to anymore. And that's basically what I did with my kickboxing journey, you know. And I took that to the point where I was training 4 times a day, and you know, whilst I was holding down the job with you, you know, and by the time I got to work, I'd already got up and run, and then I'd come to work, and then I'd go home and I'd train. Then I'd go off and teach classes, and then after class I'd pull people in and do my sparring bits and things with them, and then I'd go for another run.
You were crazy. You were crazy. Yeah.
It was, but I mean, again, it's ages.
It was dedication. It was dedication.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing.
Single-minded, focused, and that was what I was doing then. That was the only thing I was interested in, and that was
probably the most focused minded person that I know. That literally will just go, I want to do this. Do it.
Yeah. Everything else just falls away.
Literally tunnel vision. Bang. I'm doing it. Yeah.
That has its good and its bad. I mean, depending on your stage in life and where you are as well. I mean, at that time, it was me on my own. I lived by myself in my own house. I could do that, and it didn't affect anybody else. And of course, you know, as life moves on, now you have more responsibilities and people and things. And I am trying my best to be more.
I think you're doing great. I think you're doing really, really great. Yeah. So this year, completely a massive thing we didn't all expect. Sorry, last year, leading to this year, and it's affected everybody. But to someone that relies on people to get into their space, which we can see in your view there, to interact with each other, to do their lessons and do their training, and you can't do it. How do you respond to that? I mean, you have done, but can you tell everyone how you did that? What your thought behind it was?
Yeah, the thought behind it's the easy bit, which is just, oh, this is happening now. I need to do this. There was definitely it was an interesting time, wasn't it? Because of course we could see this thing happening over on the other side of the world, and you're getting news reports. You say, oh, well, this is happening there, but we're all right. And then, oh, there's one here. Oh, actually, there's more. Now there's more now.
Well, yeah, it was crazy. You've seen the things shared, but I remember seeing the same videos. So we were talking at the time because we had gigs booked, which we've not talked about yet. We're going to talk about them in a bit. But like, we had gigs booked. And it was like, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, there's this virus, but don't worry about it. It's not going to bother anybody.
So one day in my school hall teaching a really physical class, and the guys are smashing pads and grabbing each other, and it was just all training together, in close proximity and working as teams. And then the next minute, it's like, well, that's that then. You know, I sat outside in the car and went, what do I do now? Because that's all gone. It's all been taken away, and
no contact, nothing. No.
Exactly. And well, we went straight into the lockdown, didn't we? So it was just completely.
And that's March last year. March last year, wasn't it?
March last year, yeah. So the Friday night I was in my school and teaching, and then 5 minutes later, like, well, now what do I do? Thankfully, I've got I've got great people around me in the martial arts world as well. And there's a really good friend, and he's a bit of a mentor as well. A guy named Ricky helped me so much. And I think it was on the Saturday, and he was on the phone and said, well, have you got your Zoom all set up? And thinking, oh, what's a Zoom?
I wish we'd have put shares in it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, one share. I mean, how much would that have been in February? But we don't need the almanac, do we? If we go back to 1958, we just need the DeLorean and Zoom shares. But on the Saturday, I found out what Zoom was. On the Sunday, I think I did a demo call where I just emailed all my members and said, guys, I'm gonna try this thing called Zoom, and you can all sign in and we'll see what it looks like. And I set my camera up, and I kind of sat on the floor. All right, can you all see me? Can you all do that? Can you all hit that pad? And just tried to figure it out. And then back and forth on the phone to other of my martial arts friends saying, well, what are you doing? How are you doing this? What about this? What about this? And we figured it out. And then on the Monday, classes were online. Friday we're teaching in the school. Saturday I find out that there is a thing called Zoom. And then by Monday night the entire business is online.
But isn't it weird though? Like it's like I always find now it's like, well, I do because I look into stuff because I'm stupid. But I look into it like, well, oh yeah, Zoom's awesome, but it's the same as Google Meets. It's the same as. It's always been there. So,
but it just is, isn't it? And it's great, and I think everyone understands it. Everyone's got it on the phone.
It's
really
great. I mean, I did a test today because I was talking to Streets Apart, which we'll get into a bit. Friend Dan, it was like, well, I don't know this video thing. I've not got a laptop, and I was like, well, just download the Zoom app on your phone. What's that do? And I called him from here, from literally my little station here, and he was like, "That's good, isn't it?"
Brilliant.
But it works across mobile platforms,
I think,
and it works really, really well. It works great. It's standard across pretty much whether you got a laptop, a tablet, a phone. It will work, and it will get you into that meeting setting.
Thank goodness it does.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a shock to the system because, of course, we've gone from physical classes, which were very physical classes. I've always had a very practical and combative approach to the art. So rather than maybe doing stuff in more like a traditionally kind of way and standing in rows and doing your moves and things, we didn't really do that. Everything was alive and partner based and pad based and sparring based. So to go from that, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you're the other side of a screen, and if I get a pad, if I show you that, can you make a jab? And just start doing pad work through a computer screen, and having to completely change teaching style and the learning style for the guys all completely changed. Some bits I think are even better. Some bits have changed for the better because there's stuff you can do in this format which is actually really difficult to do in a face-to-face scenario. And I'll do stuff for the kids, or put a green screen up, and I think I can always get my hands on at least 5 lightsabers at any point. There's always something. So I can put a green screen, do a lightsaber class, or
that's great.
And stuff like that. It's just difficult to do face to face, but we can do it. And so we just devised a new teaching style. It's altered the curriculum that I'm teaching because some of the stuff that I was doing we can't do, but now because everything's without contact, there's other things that we can do. And I've noticed, I think because it forces people to do their basics, It'd be almost like a guitarist. If it's like the only thing you can do is picking exercises, you go, oh no, yeah, but how good's your picking going to be? It's going to be ridiculous. And that's kind of the same in the martial arts thing. It's like, well, we're working on technique and body mechanics and timing, but how good are those things going to be?
Yeah.
They're going to be like way better than they would have been.
Yeah.
Because you've been forced to get that growth.
The thing
so
is,
actually,
you are finding massive positives in the negatives of what you've been dealt. And I think that's so great, you know.
That's all you can do, though, isn't it?
But also, you're finding different ways to express it.
Yeah.
You would never even have thought of before.
No. You have to get creative. And I think that the lessons that this has taught us, and for the kids and for everybody, the lessons that this period of life has taught us about adaptability and coping with change and resilience and just that thing of, well, if you want to do it, you'll find a way and you'll do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I do have friends in the martial arts world that have just gone, I just can't do it. And they've shut down and disappeared. They just can't. Or and likewise, I've got other guys friends who are just absolutely thriving, and just moved their entire thing online. Just running massive online schools now, buying out other businesses and things, and just doing absolutely brilliantly.
Really?
Some guys have really risen to it and thrived.
Whoa, so is it expressed that far? Is it just doing
absolutely
doing it online? You know.
Yeah.
So people in their front rooms doing their maneuvers, whatever they're taught to do, and you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For me, you know, my thing is first and foremost, it's my members. You know, the guys that were training with me before, that are training with me now, that are still keeping them. You know, they've been super loyal, super supportive, super amazing. So I'm very, very, very lucky with the student base that I've got. So my priority is those guys, and I need to do my very best.
I think you're completely right with that. I mean, I visited your space, didn't I?
Yeah.
And this was before lockdown. This was during obviously the rule of 6, that kind of era where it was non-touch. And I got to say, I went there and it was exemplary the way it was run.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
You know, I wasn't even trained there, but hand sanitizers there before you even enter the reception before the training space. And everyone that was in there was perfectly conditioned to what they were supposed to do. And I thought it was fantastic. I really did. And that's, you didn't know I was going to say that, but it was fantastic, Jim.
And no, thank you.
It was to the letter and above. You know,
that's always the mission statement, isn't it? It's we've got to keep people safe. We need to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Number one, we can do it, but more importantly is it safe to do? You know, and that was always my. I kind of had those 3 criteria when I was working on.
We had those chats a lot, didn't we? On how can I do it? How can we make this work? Sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like, well, is it kind of within the regulations? Like, am I allowed to do it, and I'm not going to get in trouble? But then, way more importantly than that, with the other 2 was like, well, is it safe? I mean, you know, I'm not going to try and find sort of loopholes and then put people in a dangerous situation just because I found a sneaky way. Like, no, that's not what I'm doing. So it's like, well, is it legitimate? Then is it safe? And then is it actually going to be a great experience? Because if it was going to be so restrictive that we just couldn't do it justice, we couldn't do a good job, then you know, we've had to find another way.
No, I was there on a Sunday. And I didn't even tell you I was going to go there at the point, did I? I was like, well,
I had a nice surprise.
I mean, kidding.
Hello, sir. Yeah.
And you know what? Above and beyond, safety measures were met, and the people that were there really got the best out of their session, and it was a joy to watch. It really was. It really was. And
very kind.
And they might have thought like, oh, just some strange guy sat there in the waiting room, but you know, it wasn't. I was watching.
Out here, James.
Yeah, but I was watching every single bit of it, you know, and it was done to the highest degree. in terms of safety, in terms of what they were going to get out of it in a safe environment with the COVID, the regulations that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it was 100%. It was more than that, 110%, I'd say. Just overthinking what you should have been doing. It was great,
Always.
It was. I almost wish I had somebody else with me to go like, yeah, are you watching? But it was just but it was just me. But I thought, man, you really took the time. You really took you took the time to really express what needed to be done, and you did it. It was.
We're all better at writing risk assessments now, aren't we? Thanks to this.
Well, yeah, completely. Because but
it's great how the rules will change, and then we find it's like, we can actually do this. And so we've done classes outside here in the car park, and there's a covered over area, and the landlord.
I was hoping to find an outside one, but it was all inside. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we thankfully we were allowed back in by then, weren't we? But yeah, we've done classes outside in the car park with little chalk squares drawn out on the floor for everybody. We've used an old basketball court in Wychbold. We've done Droitwich Lido Park. So we've gone from kind of purely online classes, then to outdoor sessions. Then we've been allowed back in again, doing sort of face-to-face ones, but all fully socially distanced and non-contact. And as you mentioned, with the sanitising temperature, all the things when people first get here. And then I'm simultaneously streaming those on Zoom as well. So whilst I'm teaching the guys in the room, I also have a camera on me. There's people at home training if they're self-isolating or don't feel confident to come out, or just want to get an extra session in that week because they want to train more.
I think you've done so well. Really, really so well with what you've been dealt. Everyone's been dealt, but like you've constantly thought outside the box. If you got a lot of kids, you got a lot of kids that train with you and stuff like that. So what are you doing? You're not just like, here's this. You're like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, all kinds of different stuff, all kinds of stuff to get them interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then we got Wizard World next.
If I put myself back into being a kid that age, I'd be so excited about what was happening. Whether it's a Monday, I'm doing it or whatever. I'd be so chuffed. I'm doing that. I'm taking on Star Wars this week. I'm taking on Jurassic Park this week. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so clever.
It's really easy because that's what I'm into. I'm a complete.
We're both geeks, so it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love this, and I love doing this with Marcus. There's my little boy. We love doing it together. So if I love it and he loves it, then maybe the other people will. And then so I just get to do that for more people. And again, it's communication again, isn't it? Just like kids go to first school and they first do their literacy classes. They don't get handed Macbeth. They do slightly more simple stories to begin with that maybe have a theme of ambition or jealousy or whatever in there, you go, it's like Macbeth, but it's not Macbeth. They're taught in a way that they can catch and understand. So, and that's how we built all the kids programs and things here. It's taught in a really child-friendly, age-appropriate, fun way.
It's great.
And it's just fun. I think we went to the beach today. So we were at the seaside.
Oh, bless. I just think it's so cool that the way you adapt your plans to match what the kids are interested in and what they might be interested in, or you know what I mean. It's like it's. When
they're 4, they need that, don't they? At 4 years old.
Of course they do. Because when I was a kid, right, the climbing frame at the play school in Highley, right, was Castle Grayskull.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Because it's basically I adapt it to be something that I watch. If it's a big tall thing that I have to climb up, it's Castle Grayskull. Yeah. That was the name for it.
Oh wow, yeah. It's so cool how their minds work and
that's how my brain works, that's Castle Grayskull.
But if you tell a 4-year-old to stand in a guard stance and make 10 jabs, before you know it, he's looking at lights and spinning round, and then
correct. What's that mean?
experience, but he'll ring the Giants doorbell and he'll do a game which involves a jab 100 times and then want to do more.
So that means basically you've got to keep up with what the kids are into.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, at the moment I'm all right with that because of course I've got kids around me.
Yeah.
So I guess when the next one comes in and this new craze.
Yeah, but you got coming soon. Yeah, Marcus going, Dad, how do you play Metallica?
Well,
you're like.
Yeah, I think my skill set's going to climb with Marcus.
I think it is. I think you two are going to be shredding together soon.
Yeah.
So
he's got his guitar. He's learning the ukulele and he's got his guitar and he's
You've made your own path there, mate. I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah, he likes.
You've made your bed.
But he's really into Iron Maiden and Alice Cooper, and we got to go and see Alice Cooper together last year. And,
I'll tell you what, you've taught him about his music because whenever we've been to, we've not even got this yet. We're in a minute. A Hoof-Hearted gig. He's been there in Iron Maiden top. So anyway, I'll use that as a point. I'll segue away because, like, in the last 2 years, I've been knocking on your door saying, like, you should play more guitar, haven't I?
Yeah. And I'm so grateful, by the way.
Yeah, I've been, shush. But I've been knocking. And now you're in a band that, well, sorry, we can't play live now, but like, you're in a band that can play live, and you have done. We've done some gigs and stuff like that. And you're also in a recording band as well.
I don't It's been an absolute
my fault.
And it really has. So I think as the martial arts took over, I always had my guitar still. I would occasionally pick it up and play it, and just for a nice bit of stress relief, just be there. But I wasn't practicing. I certainly couldn't play the way that I used to, and then I'd get cross with myself because I couldn't play the stuff I used to, and so I'd put it back down again. But then it was always Halloween, wasn't it? Every Halloween you'd be doing a festival, and your band.
I'd put a gig on for Halloween. No matter who was involved, and I'd always ring you and go like, "What are you doing?" Yeah.
Can you get us and play rock and roll or something? Like, I think so.
Can you play with Hoof-Hearted? Wasn't that on Hoof-Hearted? With Velvet TARDIS, whoever, can you play with BCDC, whatever it was? Just come down, man. It's cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Can you dress as Sloth out the Goonies whilst you're doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got there, realised I couldn't see anything, but yeah,
it actually started off back in the day, didn't it? Though back at the Bait Charms Jam Nights.
Oh yeah, they were legendary.
Just turn up, just us playing guitars, going like, and suddenly you got a ramp up and a great night, open mic night, yeah.
And before you knew it, everyone else had gone home, and just a handful of us there till the early hours, just playing.
Correct, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
With Dave the Butcher.
Yeah.
Are you still see now? Legend.
Yeah, we're very lucky with the people we know, aren't we? So yeah, the one Halloween, I think the year before was the Sloth Rock and Roll Zeppelin fiasco, and then the next Halloween, I said, "Well, shall I play again?" And well, we're not doing that this year, but what we are doing, I've managed to get even better, some backing tracks, and a singer, and me and Carl, who's an amazing vocalist, and then pull me in, and we do half a dozen songs together. And
was that the year we did the Ghostbuster outfits?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
So we picked our songs, didn't we? And I'd learned them, and I practiced, and I got them down, and it was so cool because Carl likes Mr. Big, and I like Paul Gilbert, and I like Mr. Big. So we actually got to play Mr. Big songs live, and it was really satisfying as a guitarist to play that stuff again. I had to get the chops.
And we all were Ghostbusters outfits. We were all there in Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
I really enjoyed that.
Screen behind us, hadn't we?
And Clarkey was doing that, wasn't he? Clarkey, who had the pub at the time, was doing the projection, that wasn't he?
It was great because he matched the song we were playing.
He did.
Whatever song, Poison, whatever in the video would be on behind us.
Yeah.
Great. And it was just awesome. But of course, what I didn't realise when I got there, until I got there, was that the band had a name. So all the posters, Hoof-Hearted.
And that was me. Sorry.
Yeah. I love it.
Hoof-Hearted, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. We've got our own Facebook site now and merch and everything. And we've got a logo.
It's just it's like a horseshoe above a heart, isn't it?
Yeah, it's antlers.
Antlers. Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
Love it. So, but I mean, that was so much fun, and it just got.
We did like 20 songs that night. Maybe 15 songs that night, didn't we?
2 sets, didn't we? I think it started with 6, and they went, "Well, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this?" Well, yeah.
And it was just
give me an evening.
Me and you on guitar, Carl singing, wasn't it? With a backing track, bass player, drummer, keyboard player, wasn't it?
All on the track,
and it sounded great. And then it come from that, we're like, actually, we can gig this.
This has got legs. Yeah, let's take this out again.
We can gig this. We can gig this. And we started doing it.
Brilliant.
Hoof-Hearted is literally a gigging thing, isn't it? We've done how many? We've done 10.
Oh yeah, at least. Yeah, and it's I love how it's evolving as well, isn't it? Because it started like a Halloween rock show, so everything was Enter Sandman or Poison or and then those kind of songs, and now the set's kind of
we've got Hooked on a Feeling in the set.
Yeah. You can check out and got the Power of Love and just some really, really great fun songs to play, and then you can go from doing The Boys Are Back in Town and Jump
but do you know what?
Here I go again, and then the next thing is you're playing Ooga Chaka. And
the great thing is though, I finally managed to get you back into a gigging band.
Yeah,
I love it.
You re-inspired me, dude.
I love it. The fact you come out, when's the next gig? We're doing it.
It's exciting again. I'm playing. I've got guitars around me again.
I did it because at the very end of when you were at Laney, you were like, I don't like guitars.
Oh dear. I think it's funny. It's just I don't like 10 hours a day talking about them.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean though? Do you know what I mean though? And now you're like, when we playing? So going on from like the martial arts side of it and what you've been doing and stuff, I've tried my best to get everyone that I know that loves a bit of music involved in creating music. So I started the Streets Apart project, and basically a home-based. I write songs all the time and then send them out, and then people that want to get involved get involved. We got Kev that likes to get involved, write the lyrics and singing them. He's doing a great job. He does it every single week. We got Dan who plays rhythm guitar or plays bass, whatever it needs to do on that track sort of thing. And then I started getting you involved. We got Phil, obviously, just backing vocals, drummer extraordinaire, but we can't sit in a room with him and record drums. So I'll program drums and basically send them to him for him to approve and then go, okay, that's what I will play, because we can't record him in a room, can we? We can't get together. So he helps on the programming side of it. But then it was more like, okay, well, let's get other people that I love playing with and stuff to be involved in this project, and stuff coming to you, didn't it? So so far you've played guitar and saxophone and stuff, but like, what was your thoughts when I first started going, I'm doing this, we're making pretty much a quadruple album from home.
Yeah.
To release the whole back catalogue on one day when we're at lockdown. There it is. It's all there.
It's brilliant. I've been, obviously, before I got involved, I've been watching it happen because each week on your Facebook you'd be releasing the tracks, and I'd listen to them every week, and I really like that one. I really like that one. Really like that one. And then when you finally sort of asked me to be on one, I was, oh, fantastic, thank you. You know, I'd kind of been sort of hoping you'd ask.
I didn't think you want me to, and suddenly you're like, yeah, I'll do it.
And I was well up for it, and so I was really grateful. So was it this time was the first one, wasn't it? You wanted kind of an outro solo putting on, and do you know what? I think it's absolutely perfect for where I am now, time wise and creativity wise as well, because yeah, but by the time I've thought of a melody or you know, tried to compile or write a song, for example, it's long gone. So it's got so many things happening around me.
Yeah, you're a busy boy. Yeah,
to keep something in my head to actually turn it into a song, I was struggling with. But when I get sent the tape or the file, yeah, and you go, right, play over this bit, so I can just turn it into a loop and just listen to it again and again, and in the end make almost like a little mini composition to then record and send back to you. It's great. Yeah. I have like 26 seconds of expression, and I'll sit with it, and I'll play, and I'll improvise with it, and the things will start sticking. I'll start hearing melodies, and oh, that works. I really like that bit, and I'll sort of piece together a solo. But it's more like a composition than just sort of improvising and letting rip. It comes via improvisation, but then what I actually end up recording is pretty well fixed by the time I record it.
No, I love it. The fact it's not just like there you go. It's a composition in itself, which is to me a solo is always part of the song, and what everything you send to us is always a little story in between that song over them chords, you know.
Cool, yeah, I'm glad that comes across. So yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, and then I hit you and said, like, can you get your saxophone out?
Yeah, I think that was probably my fault, because there was a harmonica.
Was your fault? Was it? I didn't ask for that. You asked for it, actually.
Yeah, there was a harmonica opportunity, and I thought, oh, I've got a saxophone, and then I went, why did I just say that? Because of course, I played the saxophone when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I first got the saxophone. And then I was involved in a youth band and things. I think that went through until I was about 14 or 15. I can't remember. I used to play a lot in this band and did lots and lots of shows. And then it went away. But when I was at the college, what we found was at the college, it was obviously 75 billion guitarists, 2 drummers. So if you were a drummer or a bass player, you would find you got on as many shows as you wanted to. It's easy to get, not to devalue their work, you know, it's not to say easy to get there, great, it was easy for them to get to shows. But then as a guitar player, you kind of go, well, which of the 14 of us do you want to pick for this one? But what I realized was that if I took my saxophone in, there was no other saxophone player, there was one other saxophone player. So, and then we could pair up and harmonize one of them. We'd be in on every single show and every single year group. So I got to play saxophone again. And I really enjoyed that, you know, especially because we were doing lots of like jazz music and things at the time, which I really, really like. And I think this is that thing I kind of mentioned earlier with the methodology. You know, I'm a very methodological kind of person. The understanding of like what I would play on my guitar, I know what notes I would play, and I know how they relate to the chords underneath them, and I know the harmony and the theory of what I'm playing. So when it comes to picking up the saxophone again, well, I kind of knew what notes would work. So it was just a question of getting my technique back, and that was only a few years out of date. So that quite quickly came back, and then I was able to sort of play the saxophone like better at college than I could do when I used to actually play the thing. But then 20 years went past, and Chris said, "Yeah." So yeah, but that I really enjoyed pulling that back out again, and it's funny how, you know, with the recording process as well, how that kind of worked on one of the tracks where I played and it was okay, but it wasn't quite there. So I did another take and played, and it was okay, but it wasn't quite there. And I thought, well, that actually sounded quite so. So I played both tracks together, and all of a sudden it just sounded like Dixieland, like it had been designed that way, and that's what went onto the track.
Well, it sounded great, didn't it? That was on.
Yeah, it came out surprisingly.
That was on Lock-ins Not Lockdowns, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And the next track we did was
The 80s,
the 80s one.
So I made a rock on my back there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did actually. Yeah, you did actually. It was the 80s one, and literally, I wrote the whole track to sound a bit 80s. In fact, the track that I actually had in my mind to make it sound in the vein of was off Lost Boys.
Yeah.
It was the Tim Capello thing when it started with that 1 4 5 thing, but on keys, but on keys. Not 1 4 5. It's 1 4. Can't remember, but you know what I mean. It's like it was that. Yeah. It is 1 4 5. Not sure. Anyway,
I can't remember the track off the top of my head.
No, but it was like
to just go. No, this is this. Or minus 6.
Walk on the Wild Side was the track.
Yeah.
But it
was great.
But it had that real being, and I haven't got a keyboard, so literally I just did it on the laptop keys like this, like I'm doing now. But the sound was that real sort of like 80s ambient synth sound, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was perfect.
And we got the strats out on it for the guitars and stuff. The real in excess, sort of like really clean but delayed.
Yeah,
not the U2 one, the in excess one. That's what we did. That kind of stuff. And then when Tim Capello came in. Without the cod piece, without the cod piece, yeah.
So that's why you did the video for that particular one. But it was again. I think that was take 22.
You said to me, I've done 20 odd takes on that.
Yeah, well, you get one that's actually consistent all the way through.
But it was so good, and no one expected it.
No.
Everyone expected a guitar solo. I love that. When the sax solo comes in, they're like, what? Yeah.
For me, it's a challenge, isn't it? And I love challenges. When it's something I want to do, and it's like, right, I want to do it, but there's this obstacle. Right, how can I get past that? How can I do it? So that relearning the saxophone to play a thing. I was like, well, how do I? And it was like, well, can you do it? And one of my old lecturers said to me, "It's like in this interview, the first answer is yes. So like, can you do this? Yeah, of course I can. Then you figure it out after.
Yeah. Then you find out how to do it.
You're not playing the saxophone and inside, like the swan, kind of all graceful on top of the lake. Yeah, I'll do it. It's not underneath the little feet doing this. But yeah, we'll do it. And we were able to pull it off. And again, you do the ridiculous amount of hard work to actually put those things together. And then, for me, it's like that 24 seconds where I kind of blow over the top of it or whatever. But that's, for me, I'm proud to be part of it.
It's all worth it, man. It's all worth it. To me, it's like, it's trying to stay creative in a situation where you can't go out there and jam people. So to me, it's like, I love making music that other people can go like, I like that. And I will say, people involved, if they don't like it, just tell me they don't like it. And I'll be like, cool as shit. But like, I love the fact that I'm making songs. Well, I'm sat at home just like going like, literally on this laptop that I'm recording this podcast on right now. Literally, I'm just like going like, okay, with my guitars. That's the reason they're behind me is not because it's a backdrop. These are the ones I'm using at the moment, and they'll interchange. Yeah, they will. They won't change. There's a strap there, a telly there. There's those there, and next week they'll be different because like I don't need that one for the moment. But it's all based on what's needed for that track, and I'm so proud that so many people want to be involved in my little project, you know, in which is making music from home and putting them out there. You know, it's great.
You've created something awesome, dude. You really have. You've created something great, and from a an outside perspective, even as you hear from the very first ones, and then the progression to where we are now, and the quality of the production, and how everything's just getting better each
I think the production's way better than what it was. In fact, me and Dan have listened to the guitar player Dan Harris. You know, he plays rhythm on stuff like that, and he you know, he loves it. You know, because he's never been in a band before.
But he's done amazingly as well.
And he's done amazingly well. It's like, you know, he comes in, he's like, I've got an idea for this, I'll do that. And I'm like, record it, man.
And he's written an entire track, hasn't he, as well, Dan?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Dan wrote track before that went out, the one that was very Green Day and very punky. And I couldn't have played it the way he played it, to be fair.
That's it. That's definitely his wheelhouse.
Because he had to have that feel. You know what I mean? And that's not my feel. And it, you know,
you've got a little melting pot, haven't you? Where people bring in the different ideas in, and different sound. But every week is a different genre and a different culture and different sounds.
Yeah. I mean, we just basically released a pretty much 80s rock Dr. Feelgood style track, but the next one's going to be completely introspective and acoustic, you know, which is great, you know, and it's a testament to the gear that lets you be able to do that nowadays. We couldn't do that 20 years ago. Well, we could do them, but no, we couldn't do it. But I'll just break this in before we end it off, like, into, you know, I'm very sort of like affiliated with gear companies and with line 6 and stuff, and you know, I'm not officially, I'm not, but I will never ever fail to be a salesman to somebody. As you've seen me when I'm out there doing stuff, I will always talk the gear, whether I'm endorsed or not endorsed, whether I'm never paid to say it, but I'll always give my advice.
Yeah.
Just a quick one now. Let's go back to what your old rig was like compared to what it is now.
So the rig that I had when I was in a band that didn't do any gigs. Okay. So my guitar sound was, I had basically a full rack system. So 2 Marshall 4x12s. Then I had I think it was an 8-unit rack perched on top of those. So I had the great. Yeah. I know, yeah, but I'm quite tall. So, or I would put the one and then have it. It'd be about that high if it was on one 4x12 and the other one next to it, or in a different room, mic'd up or something. So I had the dual mono block 50/50 Marshall EL34 amplifier.
Oh, the gold power amps. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 3-rack unit gold glass plate, all the tubes blowing up behind it.
Yeah.
So I had that one and then I modified it. So I had EL34s on one side and I got the other side switched to 5881s. So we got the 2 different feels from the that kind of European or the American feel, depending on what I wanted.
Yeah.
Then
you either Boogie, PV, or Marshall, basically.
Yeah, it was exactly. Yeah.
So your lead sound was kind of like Boogie, PV, and your rhythm sound was Marshall.
Well, it was almost like it was more like one half of the sound setting because it's a stereo rig and I have one half on.
Okay.
So that was quite cool. Or if I was recording, I could choose. Then I had my main preamp was the JMP1. It's a classical Marshall JMP1 preamp. Brilliant. It's just a brilliant. Yeah, it's every Marshall amp in one unit rack, and it's fantastic.
Good enough for Def Leppard. Good enough for you.
Yeah. I didn't get the Voodoo mod done on it, but it sounds fab. And then with that, I had the JFX one as well. So that was a cool effect. I didn't have lots and lots of crazy effects. And then whammies and wild flanges and things. But the JFX one it was just enough to colour the tone. It just had the reverbs It just had subtle choruses and
that's
delays.
the same unit that Iron Maiden used.
Yes. They have G majors as well.
That's what they had, yeah. And a G major, yeah.
Yeah, there's a JFX and G major thing, which they're on eBay now, but no, they're not. And I haven't got one, so now I can't have one because I've said no.
You don't need one anymore. Carry on.
Have I got an old one in the attic somewhere? No, I haven't. I haven't got one.
Is it in my garage? Have you not got one?
Oh, is that one I knew years ago?
Might have been.
Yeah. Don't know, I just had the JFX one, and I did have another couple of. I had a Boss, not a Boss, a Roland delay with a phaser on it, and some various bits of extra wrap gear and compressors, and the BBE Sonic Maximizer.
They're classic. They're classic. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it was just awesome. So I had.
Don't know what they do, but it sounds great.
It was like a sub bass enhancer, wasn't it? So you had the knob for like super low bass frequencies and then a bit of like top end presency kind of stuff.
So basically, it's the stuff you normally take out boosted, and the stuff that you normally take out.
But when you're playing on your own in your bedroom,
correct. 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 You put it with the band.
When I first got it home from Musical Exchange, I played that for 1 hour. So it's that sound.
Yeah.
Like, guitar and the bass. And of course, as soon as you then go and play with your bands, like, what did it sound so woolly for?
Was it gone?
Okay. So, turn that one off. But yes, I had the full Rocktron MIDI mate controlling it all. So I could press the patch on the MIDI mate, which would change the preamp setting, change the effects settings, loops switching in and out, compressors on and off, and maximizing it. Just a full pro touring rig, way more than anyone needs. And that was awesome in my room. And it was just sort of permanently wired up to my sort of recording desk. When I was in a band that didn't do any gigs, I had this amazing pro touring rig. Yeah. Now I'm in a band who does do gigs.
Yeah.
So I've got a modelling pedal, don't I?
Yeah.
So I'm using the I've got a Digitech RP1000, which was the first one that I'd ever kind of played with. Let me feel I've got your Digitech RP1000 that you've loaned to me, and it's amazing.
Mate. It's yours. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, it's awesome because you just choose an amp, choose a pedal, play, and it's there, and then you press another button, and you've got a different amp and a different pedal, and it sounds different genre. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And sounds really good and really authentic and responds well when you play, and you still get that feel of I'm playing music for real. It doesn't feel artificial at all.
I will say that the RP1000 is a really good pedal. It's great. It's got some amazing stuff in it. That you've not tried it this way, but it also is like it can control external amps and stuff like that. It can change channels. It can do that kind of stuff. It's amazing.
It's huge, isn't it? It's like
the only thing about it that sucks is the wah.
Yeah, which I did use a wah on this time, but I very rarely used that. I was never a big effects guy. I was always more kind of thinking about, well, what notes do I play to make it sound that way?
Yeah.
But the pedal do I plug in to sound that way?
Well, the wah sounds great. It's just like when you actually go for it, click it forward, it switches off. It's a strange action, if you get me. But what that actual unit does is fantastic. It will plug into anything and switch the channels. It will switch the effects loops. It will do everything. Control from that thing, and it's got metal switches, which I love about it. You click on it, they click. It's rugged. It's rugged. Yeah.
And it sounds great. It's great fun to play through, and it feels fast.
I love that thing. The RP1000 is a good unit, really good unit.
Yeah.
But they've stopped making big units now.
I don't know if they upgraded. If there is there a new version or
No, it's the last one they made.
right.
They stopped.
Okay.
They're just doing pedals now, and that's it. Just like whammies and stuff like that. They stopped. I think they think that Helix and that took it to above level.
To competitive.
They're like, nah, I'll leave it. Yeah.
That leads me. I'm so excited to get stuck into the Helix Stomp.
Oh, mate.
I'm desperate to get it because obviously we haven't been able to meet and then to actually sit and play with the stuff. But I'm desperate to get plugged into one of those.
Well, you've heard the real Helix, haven't you? You've tried the real Helix. So yeah,
your Helix.
When I first got it, I remember plugging you in. You came to the pub, and I plugged you into a preset called "For the Love of Steve." Remember that?
I do remember. It was For the Love of Steve, and there was the Trooper that I think I liked as well.
And you're just like, that's the sound.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's as authentic as you like. And
you were like, that is it.
See it now on that patch, can you? So you have that patch, and then you can go, I'll just take the delay out, and it's still the patch, but without the delay, and not everything changes.
Yeah.
It's immense. The power of it, and the usability of it was crazy.
It's crazy, but we were trying to, because I've got that one, but we're trying to sort out the rig for Hoof Hearted. And going, okay, well, if I'm on full Helix, and you know me, I only use like 3 buttons. It's too much. I could do it on the stomp.
Crazy enough.
You know me, I'm like, bang, bang, that'll do. You know, but we can do your rig in a stomp, and literally like, actually, we good.
Yeah.
We probably just need your MIDI, mate, you've got plugged into it. Do the lot. Yeah. Or just it on its own. Just 3 buttons, clean, dirty, distortion. Or clean, dirty, volume down, lead.
Yeah, which is how we play anyway, isn't it? It's an expressive instrument.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm just trying to get to the point. But isn't it crazy now that we can literally get every sound we ever wanted in the world from a box that's about this big?
I have a bag, like a carrier bag almost. So a guitar on my shoulder and a carrier bag, which has got the RP sound.
Correct, and that's everything that would have been in front of your amp, your loop, everything done. Yeah, straight to the PA. Because when you're playing a gig, what are you going through? The PA.
Comes through that anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah. Everyone looks back at the 80s gigs and says like, oh, but look at them bands with all the big four solos behind them. You're not hearing them, mate.
Probably not very many speakers in them.
They're all dummies. They're all dummies. But I do think it's ace, and I do think that that's the one thing now, guys. This is so good is the fact that we can turn up to a gig with guitars on our shoulder to a pub gig and literally go, well, we're not, by the way, because there's always a car with a PA in it. But but straight, it's like bang, bang, bang. How's that sound? Sweet.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, those gigs me and you've done, who are quite particular about guitar sound, but we've done gigs in what was it? That pub that's shut now.
The Hambreton.
Yeah,
over in Bromsgrove. Yeah.
How good was the guitar sound?
It was unreal. There's some videos on our Facebook page that someone had taken, and I played them, and I was thinking, is that how that sounds out front? Because it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the next song's different, and the Power of Love sound. I was thinking, that just sounds so good.
Yeah, and there's no cabs in sight.
No, not an amp on stage. I do think we should get some of those foam ones and pick them up and throw them around like Malmsteen used to. But
well, I've got plenty of cabs, mate. So I think what we should actually do is a Hoof Hearted video, but make it big style. Like we'll go to a certain stage. I know there is one. And we'll put the the big stacks up.
Yeah, I think it needs that.
And we'll do it like a white snake video, but really it's just us playing for nothing.
A cartwheel across cars dressed in
I will try and get Phil in there, sticking on the drums, and I'll put extra cymbals up, and we'll try and get his hair all like spiked out, so he's like.
I do think we need to do that. Yeah.
But it'd be funny. It'd be funny.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
man, anyway, man, I love speaking tonight. You're one of my favourite people in the world ever.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for having me on, and
so why don't you tell everyone about your links? Where can we find you?
So Facebook is probably the best for Kitsune. So just a Kitsune Martial Arts Academy, and we'll pop up on Facebook. There is a link. I think it's facebook.com/K Martial Arts Academies. And that'll get you through to our page. I think that's probably the best way to catch us.
Well, I'll put every single link in the description of this chat.
Yeah, great. I'm the world's worst social mediaist, and I'm trying to get better.
I'll help you.
I do have a Twitter and an Instagram and a Facebook and a website. So
yeah,
it'll be in.
We'll list all the links down below. Okay.
Yes.
We'll do that. Okay. Well, it's been great, man, and I will catch you really, really soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome talking to you, Chris. Thank you.
Love you.
You've been listening to the Beer and Gear podcast with Chris Taylor.